Hey guys, anxiety is terrible for anyone. And if you need to relieve it, pay attention because in this first video we will talk about what anxiety is and its main symptoms so you can find out if you have some of them and learn techniques to deal with it. But before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tamara Abdala and I'm Brazilian psychologist and hypnotherapist who believes anyone can relieve emotional pain and anxiety. I treat my clients with advanced hypnosis so they can overcome trauma and any bad emotion that may be harming them. But it wasn't always like this. Before I start treating my clients with advanced hypnosis or hypnotherapy as you may call, I used to work with conventional psychotherapy. The problem was that using the traditional techniques a person may take a long time, from months to years, to improve his condition. And I really wanted to provide some faster treatment for my clients. So I started searching for new techniques, something that would go really deep into my client's mind and help them change what they needed. I took many different courses, but then I found hypnotherapy. When I found hypnotherapy, it was clear that it was the tool I was looking for. I needed to add some new tool to my psychology knowledge, and it was advanced hypnosis. So I learned techniques and methods used to treat traumas and many other problems caused by emotional pain. The plan was simple. Now that I have hypnosis as a tool, I can help my clients to get relief of anxiety, depression, addictions, and other problems going really deep into their mind and changing it through hypnosis. The only problem is that personally, I can only treat a few amount of people, and I know that so many people are suffering with strong anxiety, depression, and many other problems caused by emotional pain. I wanted to do something else so I can treat more people with self-hypnosis. So I had the idea to create an online experience called Anxiety Zero Challenge to help my followers to get relief of anxiety, sharing techniques for them to apply and feel the results by themselves. With this experience, I hope to provide emotional balance to people and really help them using exercises, meditation, and self-hypnosis. In this series of 4 videos, I will be explaining in detail how the mind works, how anxiety affects it, and we will be doing a guided hypnosis to relieve anxiety so you can feel better and stop overthinking. So let's start. But before we start our guided hypnosis, I need to explain to you what actually anxiety is, so you can understand how the whole process will work. Does any of these sound familiar to you? Can't concentrate at one thing at a time without worrying if it will go as planned? Have negative thoughts that slows you down because you don't know if you will be able to deliver your work perfectly? Overthink that the worst could happen? Or you are scared of the future and don't feel confident enough? Well, you are not alone. And if you said yes to some of those questions, you probably have some level of anxiety. Anxiety is the feeling of apprehension caused by anticipating danger, which can be internal or external, real or imagined. It's the feeling of discomfort when we exaggeratedly evaluate the power that a person, situation, animal or object has to harm us. Fear is the feeling of great uneasiness when you perceive some real or imaginary danger. These two very close feelings shows us that whenever one is present, the other appears. According to the Brazilian psychiatrist Ana Beatriz Barbosa Lima, in her book Anxious Minds, 3 occasions were identified where the fear reaction appears, from different reasons in varied intensity. Number 1. When there is a real and threatening reason. Number 2. When the threat is not real and may even exist, but does not represent a risk for survival. And number 3. Despair. When fear and anxiety take on proportions capable of modifying our lives, causing important limitations in the personal, professional, social, affective, and academic sectors. In this case, we have anxiety disorders, of which panic syndrome is the most known. The people suffering from anxiety feels a great need to control all situations and events around them. And we know that this is not possible all times, and that this behavior ends up aggravating the anxiety situation. Anxiety shows up in many different ways, from behavioral and emotional to physical and cognitive. For example, if you are always seeking information instead of acting on your goals, that's a behavioral symptom. When you feel worried and nervous, that's an emotional symptom. Or if you feel your heart rate increases, it's a physical reaction. And finally, if you fear and worry all the time, or mentally think if people are judging you or if they like you or not, that's a cognitive aspect of anxiety. Although anxiety can sometimes drive us crazy, it is actually an evolutionary advantage, a hypervigilance system that makes us stop and search for any type of potential threats. And in case you detect some threat, real or imaginary, it's not easy to let it go and just forget. While it was very useful back in the caveman days when they were hunting for food or protecting their families, nowadays it can be very harmful when those symptoms exaggerated appears in our daily life. People also feel anxious when they step out of their comfort zones, but it is also important to do it and experience anxiety temporarily in order to be able to achieve your goals and live life more fully. Reducing anxiety to zero isn't possible or useful. As I've mentioned, it's part of our hypervigilance system and programmed to keep us safe and sound. And our main goal with this challenge is to relieve your anxiety the best we can using self-hypnosis, specific exercise, and consciousness expansion, so you can live your life without overthinking and fear of the worst all the time. Actually, anxiety isn't the main problem. The problem is when its level is so high that it ends up paralyzing you, and you may end up procrastinating or creating negative scenarios in your head that things won't work out for you, sometimes without a real reason to think this way. You end up sabotaging yourself. Now, I'm going to share with you the 5 most common types of anxiety disorders. The first one is generalized anxiety disorder. It happens when people worry, but they are sometimes unable to say what they are worried about. They report feelings that something bad may happen or may report that they just can't calm themselves. They may also have difficulty sleeping, concentrating on their tasks, shortness of breath, restlessness, fatigue, and other symptoms. Panic disorder is the second one we will talk about. It's characterized by an intense fear that triggers severe physical reactions when there is no real danger or apparent cause. Panic attacks can be very frightening. When panic attacks occur, you might think you are losing control, having a heart attack, or even dying. You have the sensation of death. Other symptoms include chest pain, nausea, sweating, pounding heart rate, among others. The third one we will talk about is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a mental disorder that can be developed after a person is exposed to a traumatic event, such as sexual assault, traffic collisions, child abuse, or other threats on a person's life. Symptoms happen by re-experiencing the trauma through intrusive, distressing memories of the event, flashbacks, and nightmares. Avoidance of places and people and activities that are reminders of the trauma. Also, difficulty to sleep and concentrate, feeling nervous, and being easily irritated or angered are also some of the symptoms. The other disorder we are going to talk now is the separation anxiety disorder. That is an anxiety disorder in which an individual experiences excessive anxiety regarding separation from home and or from people to whom the individual has a strong emotional attachment. Some of the common consequences may be poor academic performance or declining performance, alienation from peers, and conflict within the family. The other one we are going to talk now is the obsessive-compulsive disorder. It's a mental illness that causes repeated unwanted thoughts and sensations called obsessions, or the urge to do something over and over again called compulsions. Some people can have both obsessions and compulsions. Common symptoms include fear of germs or contamination, aggressive thoughts towards others or self, having things symmetrical or in a perfect order, excessive cleaning or hand washing, ordering and arranging things in a particular precise way. And there are also specific phobias. It's good to remember that there is something very common happening nowadays. Approximately 8% of the people have the accelerated thinking disorder, which people used to mention as overthinking. Now you know what anxiety is and the most common disorders and symptoms. Get ready, because on the next videos I will explain to you how the mind and the self-hypnosis work. And we will also be doing our guided hypnosis for you to start training your mind to relieve anxiety, stop overthinking, and control your emotions. Tell me if you enjoyed this video in the comments and your top questions too. I will be answering them. Also, pay attention to your email or follow me on Twitter, Tamara Abdala. See you soon!